you all for being here. It's an incredibly moving and powerful film, and I think it shows just the beauty of giving patience and empathy, and the fact that so many different experiences are shown and then intersecting as well. I'd love to hear just how all of you met and decided to work on this project together.
Hey, y'all, sorry. Just got here. Made it. So I think Den said at the beginning that this kind of all started because of Charlottesville, and we went to UVA and just really wanted to tell the counter-narrative to what had happened in August of 2017. And so Haval, who's not here, is really what brought all of us together. Haval, as you see in the film, connected with Arno, and then Arno connected him to Chris.
Haval's probably working, right?
Haval's working.
Okay.
He's on call as a cardiologist, saving lives.
Chris, I just feel like you were so generous and open throughout the whole process, and I wonder if Erin and Den, if all of you can just explain that process of just building that trust to really share that, because you really just showcased your whole transformation for all of us, and it was really beautiful to see.
So that was the very pretty and cleaned up version. There was, about 4 years, 3-4 years worth of just ugliness, messy, not something that you would just want to watch on a daily basis. I think I probably hated myself throughout that process more than I ever hated anybody or anything else. But I think the most important thing for me at the end of it was to be able to show that vulnerability and open it up so that it might provide a roadmap for somebody else, right? We hit roadblocks, we hit plateaus, and sometimes we just don't know where to go from there. And thank God that I had Arno, and I had
Thank God you had Melissa.
Right?
And thank God you had these kids.
I was getting there, and I didn't want my kids to inherit my hate, and I was against a lot of things, and it's really important for me to be there and continue to fight for this country the way I did overseas, and just show that America is the greatest country on the planet. And we have the ability to remain great and become greater and heal this divide. And I'm not going to sit around and talk about it anymore. I'll lead the charge if I have to. So.
I also just want to say and just recognize Chris and Melissa as documentary filmmakers. What we asked of them requires so much courage, because we didn't say, hey, can we come and capture all the pretty bits? They welcomed us into their home and shared with us the full capacity of their lives, which is like a massive act of trust. And it's something that, we've communicated to y'all, but we're just like so grateful for that. And it's moving because just the pretty bits aren't believable, And so we're really grateful for that.
Yeah, Arno and Melissa, I wonder if you could share a bit of just what it was like for you to be on camera, go through this. I mean, I would say like moments of you speaking up and having your truth and really challenging your partner is a big thing. And, I'd love to hear just like a few words from you about it for you.
So I didn't really sign up for anything. It just kind of like happened.
Showed up.
I was just doing what I thought a wife was supposed to do, It was hard. I just did, I grew up in a very, very religious home. And I was always taught to stand beside him. And divorce was not a thing that we went through. And I seen something in him that he was battling. And when somebody is battling something, you always love them through it. And that's what I had to do. It was hard. They say that the first 5 years of your marriage is the hardest. That's the honest God's truth. I mean, when everybody's like, oh, we've had breakups and we've had mishaps, it's like, take a look at my book. Have you done this? Have you went through this? And, a lot of my family and my friends was like, just leave. I kept a lot of things hidden because I didn't want nobody to know, because I knew if they did know, they was going to judge, because I was keeping my kids in this household. And it was really hard because my family knew, and family's a big thing to me, and it was shut off because I stood beside him. But I do it. I wouldn't say that I'd do it again, but I mean, I loved him through it, and he couldn't love himself, so. And he wasn't, what does old Arno say? Hurt people. And he was hurt. He was very hurt. And I just had to love him through the hurt.
I'm a storyteller myself, and I've told many stories on stage and many stories on film, and to me, all stories are really hero stories. And I say hero just in a genderless sense. And I'm so honored to be on stage with heroes of mine who made this film happen, and a hero and brother of mine, and especially my hero and sister, Melissa, who really was the backbone of everything that you just saw. Just as Aval talked about his wife and his mom and Mother Amina, it's really women who lead the way to peace, and I think it's really important that all of us follow that lead. And I'm just so honored to have been a part of Melissa and Chris's journey and a part of this film also.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. I'd love to just, with the film team and Kato working, all of you, it's just really remarkable just seeing the city or the town of Lafayette, and then that also juxtaposed with Clarkston. And, what was your approach in filming? It really also felt like Clarkston just had this vibrant community, and so many amazing community members were showcased in it. And so I'd love to just hear your filming process and trying to really capture that essence.
The filming of the project was a full experience for everybody here, because everybody has something they've learned from it, even if it wasn't intentional. Culture and the juxtaposition of America and what you know about it before you arrive is different. You think that what you see in the media is the same, but I've got to do my own travels myself, and I've come to see that the rural South is really another Kurdish fading town that's riddled with war, or another African town riddled with, because the characteristics of poverty are all the same through lines across. It don't matter what color you are or what culture you are. Poverty is poverty. So you get to see that before you get to understand that, well, that's not the America you really thought it was, because when you're in New York, I'm new to New York, but when I see it, it's like people walking down up concrete buildings and all that, But when you're in the South, yeah, it's like Kampala, because Kampala is very, very fast, and if you can't survive within it, it's just gonna trash you out, But then when you come here and then you get on a project like this, you get to understand that there's people dealing with very serious issues of addiction. There's people dealing with serious addictions of poverty, rather serious addictions of other things just to contain pain, to contain other things. So with this project, I got to understand that I'm not only filming a film of culture where I stay in an apartment where you're gonna see that when you walk out, you're hearing different senses and smells of cultures around you that are it's like living through a different restaurant every day. But then when you go to the rural South, it's like 3 types of meals even throughout 6 restaurants within one county. And you get to understand that. So this film brings you to all these things. So the process brought us to understand that hate and love is something that is really thin line. It can come in, it can go out through different other things, and I'm really glad that in this project I got to see Chris face his fears and come out properly, because sometimes it comes out in a very different way, or he would have gone way worse if he didn't have his wife with him, you know. We've seen it go throughout different ways where people just massacre a whole church. So this film brings light to all these things, and to the people here, you've got to understand that these things really happen, you know. These things really, really do happen, and things like love really take out the hate, and it's a process, but we all make it through out of it, you know.
And Kato is saying that as a refugee. So, Din, will you share your juxtaposition of what we've learned from refugees in Clarkston and how that's shaped us? It's so much better than what I could say. Okay, so the film started as a film about Clarkston, and we hired and trained a team of people in Clarkston, refugees themselves, like Kato, to help us make a film about Clarkston and about how Arab Syrians and Kurdish Syrians could get along, and people from all over the world. And people like Kato have been fleeing what hate really can turn into. Will you explain that now?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, so I think something that was just really powerful that kind of surfaced as we were making the film was the relationship between the forces that create refugees, systems of oppression. So when individuals like Chris become the main, and those ideologies become the main ideology of a culture, or even those empower refugees are created. And so I think filming Chris's journey healing in the context of a community of people who have been the targets of oppression and survivors of oppression was really powerful, and it gave a sense of urgency too of the importance of more people doing the work that Chris did. I'll also say in terms of filmmaking and capturing that juxtaposition between the 2 towns, so much credit, if not all of it, goes to our editor, Catherine Garrison. She's insanely talented, and so much of that beauty was just masterfully created by her. So I want you to know that.
Yeah, we are first-time directors, so that really is all Catherine.
Yes, fantastic editing, but also I appreciate the work that the 2 of you did to just really build that trust and connection with so many different people. And I'd really love to hear, because I know we saw like an end credit about Hate Anonymous's work, and just, I know Havel couldn't be here, but just hearing an update on where he's at and the work you're still continuing to do now.
So Haval's on call. He wanted to be here. I wrote him for probably at least 2 weeks. I was like, dude, just hand it off. Switch an on call with somebody. You guys do it all the time. He has a lot. The new baby, they're pregnant, or they just had another.
Yeah.
So, you know, we'll just understand that he's got his hands full right now. I've got 2. This is his second, and it's gonna get easier before it gets any better. But so with the Hate Anonymous, we started to work through, and I realized that there was, you know, just a direct link between every single thing I was experiencing on the addiction side, everything I was experiencing on the hate and the extremism side. And I remember I asked the question. I was like, "Can we rewrite this way?" And we did. So we had a naming issue with the Hate Anonymous. Somebody, we talked about it too soon. Somebody snagged it. So they copyrighted it out from under us, and now there's this Hate Anonymous out there that is nothing. It's just copyrighted. So we changed the name to Traumanon, right? Trauma Anonymous sounded catchy. Same damn thing happened, bro. I was so mad, man. So now I'm not telling anybody what the name of the damn program is, okay? It's the program formerly called Copyrighted, okay? No.
Come up with a really cool glyph for it.
Yeah, just a symbol,
Yeah.
like Prince. No, but so we're trucking along on it. We've got a fully functioning law enforcement trauma program to help law enforcement, first responders, people that go out and do the work, right? And the cool thing about that is that we're in such a climate in this country where we're just like, F the police, right? And then, from the South, I just met a man who was shot in the back 5 times by a Pittsburgh police officer. Race is an issue, but it isn't an issue. I'll leave it at that. But, after sitting and talking with him and just kind of explained to him, like, we don't know what that officer's been through. Just like we don't know what you've been through. So, we start to try to deal with that issue with officers. That took off great. We piloted it in Aurora, Colorado at the Aurora PD. We know they've had a tough time the last year or two. And then we went in full steam on the military and service members program. That's a great success, but just like anything, it's really hard to get it in front of the people that can look at it and be like, hey, that's a really good idea. Because it doesn't involve like a complete soft wash of the military and this and that. And it's not a top-down approach, so some general's not going to get a nice shiny ribbon for saying, hey, I come up with this. But he can if he needs to. I'm cool with it. I'll sign it.
We do all this work with an amazing group called Parents for Peace. You can learn more about it at parentsforpeace.org with the number 4. We have a toll-free national helpline that's manned by a triage staff. People who are concerned about a loved one getting involved in any kind of violent extremism can call this number, get help, whatever that help may be. The triage staff is going to escalate it. Chris is a specialist for Parents for Peace addressing white nationalism. We have a brilliant man and brother of ours named Mubin Sheikh on the crew who is a former violent Islamist who addresses everything from that kind of side of the violent extremist spectrum. And interestingly, Chris and Haval very often team up on cases. Just as introducing Chris to Haval was a big part of his turnaround, if Mubin is working with a young Arabic man who's getting involved in violent extremism, introducing him to Chris can help him get perspective that he may not have gotten otherwise. So Parents for Peace is the organization that we all work with and together through. And I encourage you all to visit the website and better yet, to support Parents for Peace, because that's how Chris does this work. That's how I do this work. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of resources, so we definitely need your help to continue doing that work.
And just to build off that, we have the only non-government funded national helpline in the world for violent extremism. Everything else is connected or tied to the government somehow, and people don't feel safe or comfortable calling because they're like, oh, they're just going to turn me into the FBI. So we're the only national non-government funded helpline out there. So.
We have to wrap up now, but I wonder, Den and Erin, if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience about your film and.
Sure. I will say, I think the driving force behind this documentary from beginning to end is this hope that it can be part of reawakening our ability to empathize with one another. I think we're in a season where we really are not offering one another compassion. And so I hope that this film can kind of reawaken that for all of us, offer hope that healing is possible. And yeah, I feel like that's the most important thing. Can we also take a moment? There are a lot of people in this room who made this film possible beyond the people on the stage. And can we take a moment to thank them really quick? Catherine Garrison, you need to stand up. Fantastic editor. Lee Johnson, where are you? Lee Johnson in the back. Our consulting editor is so talented. She helped us take the film apart and put it back together beautifully. We have a number of executive producers in the house. Stand up, ladies. And we have, yes, these ladies made it happen. Talk about following women who are doing amazing things, those women. And then we have a few associate producers, interns. If you worked at all, please stand. We'd love to thank you.